This is Sad Boy Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is SBR episode 8. I'm your host, Matt, and this is my homie, Natalie. Go ahead and give
Hi.
them a little introduction.
I'm Natalie. I do photography. I would say I'm an amateur. I'm not a pro or anything like that. And I've done a photo shoot for him.
Yeah,
So.
she's all right. Most of the pictures on that page, they're not her, but there's like 2 on my regular private.
They're on his social media somewhere. You can find it. That's
yeah.
my work.
Yeah. But, today we're here to talk about being true to yourself in whatever form that is, really. Being true to yourself, it's always a hard topic to cover because people grow and change all the time. That being said, when do you ever really, how do you determine what your real self is, right? Because you grow throughout life. There's so many things that happen to you.
Yeah.
For you, what would you say that is? How do you determine, being the realist you?
I would definitely say, like, being around people that I know I can be myself around. Like, everything that comes with me, like, all my flaws and stuff like that, or, like, even my insecurities, too. Like, if I ever have an issue that's going on in my life, like, being able to go to someone that I can talk to about it, like, whether it being, like, relationships or about my family or something that I'm even overthinking, too, because I feel like I do that a lot. So sometimes I try to, like, figure out and sort out what I'm thinking, and I'll, like, talk to a friend about it and be like, oh, like, am I tripping, or is this, like, really it, So I definitely say that, like, people that give me that clarity and that peace of mind.
Yeah. I mean, always having people around you that are going to be supportive of you and even, help you realize, those issues, right? Talk through all of that. I mean, that's kind of the concept here, right? You come on, you talk about what you got to talk about and just get shit off your chest, because at the end of the day, everybody being able to express themselves through some sort of art, right?
Yeah.
For you, I know we've talked about it before, where in high school you were doing graphic design or you would take a lot of pictures. I mean, it's kind of like a therapy in a sense, because for a lot of people, that's music. They make beats, and a lot of their beats reflect, who they are, or it reflects how they're feeling at a time. And that kind of gets overlooked a lot of the time,
Yeah, that's true.
People say so much shit in songs, and people just be vibing. Like, they don't even think about it.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I'm that person. Like, sometimes, like, when I first listen to a song, I just think about the beat, and I'm like, hey, this is good. Like, I'll add it. But then it's like I don't realize what the lyrics are saying until, like, way later, because that's happened to me before. I'm like, damn, like, I was listening to this one song by Jhene Aiko, and she was like she was saying some, like, really deep emotional stuff, and I didn't realize it until, like, a month later. I'm like, damn, she really said that. Like, oh man, that hit me. But, like, at first when I heard it, I was just like, I really liked the beat and stuff like that of it. So
Yeah. I mean, you recall what song it was?
yeah, it was called Waiting. Yeah.
What she talk about in the song? Give us a little rundown.
So basically, she's talking about, she's like, oh, I'll wait for you until I turn blue. And she's just like, I don't want to have to do that, but I know that, like, obviously she's talking about a guy. And she's like, I know that you're the one for me, but I don't want to have to wait for you, because she's like, that's just lame, that's trash. So
Some real sad boy stuff.
yeah.
And that's interesting, because that's actually a concept we've talked about, like, multiple times on here, but we've talked about it from the perspective of, like, us, like, being a guy, kind of.
Yeah.
August Alsina, he made a song called Wait. I've mentioned it like twice already. But basically, he tells them in the song, like, I'm not telling you to wait, but there's some things that I got to go and handle.
Yeah.
Sorry for making the reference again. But it just reminds me of that, because it brings a different perspective. It's actually interesting, because, a lot of people just agree on this show. Like, you actually brought something else to the table.
Yeah, that's right.
But going back to the point, right? In those instances, you kind of change for somebody. You're changing your ideologies and how you would react to somebody, because you care about them. Which kind of was my next question. Do we ever really remain the same as we were? Like, as you grow, all these different things happen. Right here, it says so many things in life, like, they change your outlook. One thing specifically, like relationships, right? Relationships really do take a toll on you, and it doesn't even have to be romantic. It just could be friendships, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I've definitely had friendships like that where like some of them were like really good for me. I felt like I was saying before, like I felt like I could really be myself around them, and like I was growing and stuff like that, and they gave me good advice. But then there's like friendships that there's just like bogus friendships. Like I guess an example would be like those friends that you just go out with and that's it. Like you don't hang out and like talk about real shit, you know. So
Yeah, and those are definitely like not even real friends at the end of the day. Like they're acquaintances. They're like homies for the time being. But really, at what point do you say, "All right, this is a real friend," right? Um, you know, like I said, relationships just take such a big toll on you. Ed Sheeran says in a song, right? I gave all my oxygen to people so that they can breathe. And in the song Save Myself, he's literally talking about how he'll give whatever he can, but will people do the same for him, right?
oh yeah, I definitely felt that. Yeah, that's for sure. I've definitely like had those friendships where I'm like looking out for them, you know, and I'll be like, oh man, I hope they're good. Like I'll check in with people. I'll like text them and be like, hey, like how are you? Like how you doing and stuff like that. Like even friends that I don't go to school with or that I don't see often or they live super far away, and like I couldn't see them often. I would like reach out and be like, hey, like how are you? How's life? How's your job? Like even if it's the same thing, I still would want to reach out. So
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of the times those people don't even think about you. You know, I mean, you can't even say like they don't think about you, but
they don't reach out.
yeah, you know, I've definitely had my own homies like reach out to me and they're like, you know, what's going on with you? And it's a surprise because that was never the case. It was always me reaching out to people and saying, all right, let's hang out. Or even after a certain amount of time, like I think about it, I'm like, you know, I haven't heard from them in a while. And I'm still the one like, all right, what's up? And you know, sometimes you get those dry ass responses and you're like, all right, fuck it. Why'd I even reach out to you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just always something that's changing your outlook on life because you know, yeah, you're trying to please people in a sense, and not even that you want to please people, but it's like, damn, you were an important part of my life at one point,
Yeah, right.
and now like I don't talk to you.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that before cuz like I feel like for some of my high school friends, like I've been like this with them, you know, and then like time goes by, like we go to college, like we get jobs and stuff like that. We're literally growing up, but then it's like I don't really reach out to them or like I don't talk to them or see them every day like I used to. So it definitely hurts because I'm like, damn, like they were really cool in high school, but like now they're kind of like it's just changed. So sometimes it's really hard to like rekindle those friendships and stuff like that that I had with them in high school.
Yeah. So like, what kind of steps have you taken to kind of change that while remaining true to yourself and your ideals?
Like reaching out to that friend or like what do you mean?
Yeah. So in instances where you have reached out to them, right? Um, you know, you don't want to necessarily compromise, you know, how you
Oh,
feel
I
or
see.
compromise like your ideals,
Yeah.
but by being true to yourself, you know, a lot of the times people will stop being who they are. They'll kind
Yeah.
of compromise who they are just to fit into a certain place. You know, in that instance where you're reaching out to somebody, do you kind of compromise yourself?
I feel like if I were to reach out to someone and it was a really long time, like obviously that person is not going to want to just talk about me the entire time, especially if I haven't talked to them in forever. Like I'm not just going to be like, yeah, like hey, how are you? So anyways about my life, like that's obviously no. Like everyone just like the rule of thumb with like dealing with people is just like they want to feel important. They want to feel like they're being listened to. So, and I feel like I'm that type of person. Like I always ask questions. I'm just like, oh, like how are you with this or how are you with that? Or like if someone tells me a story, I'm like, oh, like what was that person in the background doing? Like little details like that. Like I'll ask people. So I definitely try to do that when reaching out to people that I haven't spoken to, or even like people that I have spoken to that I talk to every day. I'll just be like, oh, like how's your family or how are your like how's your brother or whatever. Like especially if they talk about them, you know. So I'll definitely do that, and especially like with family, like family is really important to me. So I'll try to ask people about that, like you were saying, like being true to myself, because like I said, family is really important to me. So I'll ask other people about their family, and it sounds like I'm putting in a lot of energy, but I've gotten it that people kind of reciprocate that, and they'll be like, oh, like, how's your mom or how's your brother, stuff like that. Especially if I've talked to them about my family situation. They'll ask me about my brother, and I'm like, oh, wow, like, I don't really talk about my brother that much, but people ask me, and I really honor that because it's like, okay, there's that connection there.
Yeah.
So.
You're just a nice ass person, dude.
Yeah, you already know.
Because a lot of people, like you said, you got to kind of initiate the effort for them to even have that kind of conversation with you. Yeah. But even at the end of the day, like, you can't be afraid to lose people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because those friendships that you do have, just like you said, right, mm-hmm. Those people that you go out and party with, or even people that have been around you for a long time, right? You got, just like I said in the beginning of the episode, throughout the episode, we're going to mention it a lot. It's staying true to yourself, right? Yeah. To remain true to yourself and not compromise yourself. Sometimes you really do got to cut people off, and it's a relief off your shoulders sometimes when you do finally do that. When you do finally say, hey, you're not good for me anymore. Mm-hmm. I gotta go my own way. Right. Go ahead and, like, give us a little, info on that, like, in your experiences, right?
I would definitely say, like, one that really hit me hard was, like, in high school. I had, like, these two friends that, like, we were super, super close, and, like, I would hang out with them all the time, but, like, they were the type of friends that I would just go out with. Like, they weren't, like, really there for me in terms of, like, my emotional needs. So when I stopped hanging out with them or talking to them as much as I did before, it really hit me because I was just like, damn, like, I invested so much time with these people. Like, these are my homies, But then, like, I was just like, but I feel like I was babysitting them in a way. I felt like I was putting in a lot more effort, or, like, I just wanted something different than out of our friendship, Like, I wanted to have a friend that I could talk to about stuff, like, real shit. I didn't want someone to just, like, go out with because that's just boring. Like, I could find any type of friend anywhere like that. So I was just like, yeah, this is just not going to be it. And it was terrible. I'm not going to lie. I was really sad. But then, like, I just got over it because, like, you meet new people. There's, like, genuine people out there that, like, have your best interests, and there's some people that just don't. They just don't really care. So, yeah.
So what is it you consider a genuine person?
I feel like just a real, like, person that wants to know about, like, you and your, like, personal life and stuff like that. Not just, like, oh, so, like, who are you talking to? Or, like, being nosy and, like, wanting to know my business and not, like, being genuine, Or, like, even, like, if I'm able to talk to them about my family situation. Because, like, my parents are divorced, and I live with my mom mainly and my brother. So if someone shows me that they're understanding of my situation and they're like, oh, yeah, I get why you are struggling there, or, like, why you have to do this, or why you have to take on so many different responsibilities, then it allows me to be like, wow, like, that's a real person. Like, they really get me, They're not just being like, oh, that sucks. Like, damn, like, you don't have two parents, Like, they're just like, damn, okay, like, it's my choice, But, like, if someone really shows that and they just have my best interest, like, you could just feel it, when you have conversations with people, you could just feel like, damn, like, they really care.
That's definitely tough, especially, like, trying to figure out in what instance, like, people are really understanding you, right? Yeah. Because you can have these conversations with people. You can straight up tell them, like, damn, I'm pretty fucking sad about this. Mm-hmm. And nobody really has anything to say to you. They'll try to relate, but can they really relate? At least that's what it feels like in the moment, right? Because you're going through so much, and how can anybody relate to you when you're upset? How can anybody feel the amount of joy you feel when you're happy, right? Yeah, right. I just always feel in a situation, like, even if you have the same exact experience as somebody, you're never going to have the same exact feeling as somebody, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, where you're saying, like, not everyone's going to be able to relate, or they're not going to always give you the best advice, but I feel like just knowing that that person's listening to you in that, like, low time that you're going through, or even through that high time that you're going through, like, you could just feel it, and just, like, if they have your best interest, like I was saying earlier, because I feel like I've had a friend where I'm just like, I've, like, cried to them, to be honest, and they're like, they didn't really know what to say, but they're like, oh, like, just giving me words of encouragement that they could in the moment, And that like really made a difference, even if they're not necessarily telling me what to do or giving me advice. They were just like, oh yeah, like don't worry about it, like think about the bigger picture. Because I feel like that's how I deal with things in my life. I just always try to look at the bigger picture and not always like drown myself in how I'm feeling.
That's kind of like a good model to live by, right? I mean, my thing is just like keep it moving. Like, oh well, it'd be like that
I can't
sometimes.
do that sometimes. I can't because I'm an overthinker and I think about stuff and I drown in it, and it's just not it's not cute. I'm just not cute because then I like because I talk to my friends about stuff and like I'll bring it up to them. They're like, "Damn, you're still thinking about that? You're still talking about that?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I can't get over it. I'm like still thinking about it. So
Yeah. When I'm a therapist, I'm just gonna tell them, it'd be like that sometimes. Keep it moving.
that's trash.
I'm
All that schooling just to say, "Damn, that's totally tough."
I'm gonna carry the psychology textbook and be like, all right, you got this symptom, you got this symptom, you got this symptom. You might be depressed, maybe, possibly, but going forward, right? In those instances where you are surrounded by like people that aren't the best for you, right? You are the company you keep. So if you got a lot of good people around you, you got a lot of scholars, you're most likely going to be a scholar.
Yeah, for sure.
If you got a lot of people who like to party around you, you're going to like to party. Not that partying's bad, but like it's just an example.
Yeah, right.
If you got a lot of people that smoke around you, you're probably going to be a smoker, more than likely, right? Those are the times where you got to have your own sense of self-discovery, right? You got to be able to realize, okay, this is who I am and this is who I want to be. One song that I like, I listened to it today because, I don't know, I just put it on and I was like, oh, interesting. La Mejor Versión de Mi by Nettie Natasha and Romeo Santos, the remix, right? She's talking about how the best version of her he'll never get to meet. Obviously, it's like a sad love song, but in this case, like you can think about it like there's a lot of people out there that will never get to know the version of you of who you are now, who you will be in the future, right? They're only gonna remember who you were in the past, and a lot of people have changed that I know, right? I mean, there's even been times like, not to put our business out there, right? But like where we've stopped talking, it's like, all right, I probably won't know her, know the new version of her. It's pretty funny, but not really funny. But
right. Funny but not funny. If
funny
you
but
know.
not. But if you think about it, right, it really does kind of relate to our situation and a lot of the time because it's like, all right, we'll see each other when we see each other.
Right. Yeah.
But just like touch on that a little bit, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like you're like, oh, I knew them once, but they're never gonna get to know you now.
Right. Yeah. I definitely say like those type of friendships were my friends that I made like freshman year of college. Like they're just like your whatever friends. Like you meet them in class or whatever, and you're cool like that first year, that semester that you meet them. But then like as time goes by, it's just like you're changing. Like I feel like in college you just grow a lot. You change who you are because you're maturing. You have more freedom. You have more responsibilities and stuff like that. So having friends like that, they're not really in my life anymore. Because I'm in a different part of my life right now. It's just like I have different friend groups and stuff like that. I've been involved in different stuff, whatever. So it's just sometimes it's like hard going back to those friends that I made at first that I was talking about like my freshman year. Because it's just like when I met them, I was in a different time in my life. So it's like sometimes hard to relate to them and it's like kind of dry and I'm like, oh, all right, never mind, so.
Yeah. No. It definitely be like that.
And it stinks because those people are really cool. I'm like, damn, like I associate them with like my first memories of college. I'm just like, damn, they're really cool. But if it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know if we actually talked about this before on an episode, but it's like people you have memories with, right? Once you have like a falling out with them, at least for me, it's kind of like, damn, I don't ever want to think about that memory again. Like, fuck that shit. Like, I just don't like, if I don't like you anymore, like I don't want to have a good memory with you because then I'm like, fuck, I had a good memory.
Right, and you want to go back to it and be like, oh, let's create more memories like that bring you happiness.
Yeah, which isn't really realistic at that point because it's like, oh well, moving on. Um, I just like to think about it like, right, because you always see that stuff on social media where it's like, oh man, you probably knew like the old me, but you don't know the new me,
Right. Like, you know my name, not my story.
which is cringe as fuck. But it's like a real. It's like, damn, that's a concept to think about, right? Because like everybody changes so much, and you know how do you stay true to yourself? What is it that keeps you grounded?
Right, yeah. I feel like I was saying earlier, just having those good friends that like in times of trouble when I'm like thinking really negative things or I'm like not being true to myself and I'm not being me or like I'm acting not like myself and um I feel like if my friends notice it, they'll say something and be like, "Oh, like why did you do that or why did you say it?" Or like they'll cringe with me of like what I did or what I said. So if they do cringe with me, then it's like, okay, they obviously know that's not me. And it helps me like um, validate and be like, okay, that wasn't right. Like I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. So those type of friends that keep me in check or like really, really help me at the end of the day because it's like, I have those friends where you talk to them very often and then I'll tell them about a situation and they'll be like, yeah, like that was a good thing that you did or like, yeah, that was smart that you did that. Or then there's like those friends that are like, damn, like why'd you do that? Like that's stupid. Like why are you still dealing with that, whatever. So definitely having that echo of who I want to be or like how I've portrayed myself to them definitely has helped me a lot. I mean that and like also my family, like I feel like that's the root of it. Like my family, they're really show who I should be or who I should want to be or like just role models in general, like especially like my aunts and stuff like that. Um, they definitely help me uh, realize who I want to be in the future.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a lot of social interactions for you, right? It's kind of like a lot of, okay, this person keeps me grounded. When I look at my family, like they help me realize who I want to be, right? Yeah. So who is that person for you?
I would only want to be the type of person or like type of friend that I would want to have for myself, Like I would only want to seek out those friends or like no, I want to be the type of person that I would seek out, meaning like in times that I feel really low, it's like I want to be able to be that friend to someone else that they can seek out to me and be like, "Oh, I'm going through this, whatever, like I want to talk about it, whatever." Or even like if they tell me like, "Oh, hey, like I got a new job," I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome," stuff like that. Like I would want to be that type of friend that I look for in someone else.
Yeah. And I know like you're really big on music. That's kind of like why me and you are pretty good friends because like we're always able to go back to music for some reason. Um, what's a couple of songs that like portray you as a person that you could think of?
So the song I would say is "I" by Kendrick Lamar, and because I feel like a lot of times I don't be acting like myself like I normally do. And so I feel like at the end of the day, I just need to like be me and just like love myself, like it says like in the hook of the song. Um, and I feel like it's just like I need to remind myself, and I don't know, it's just like a feel good song too, because like I said, it just like regrounds myself and recenters me. So
Why do you say that like you don't feel like you be acting like yourself?
I don't know, because I feel like sometimes when some of my friends, I'm just like, damn, like I know they're not really like a good friend at the end of the day, especially like, those type of people that I just like go out with or like go to parties with, whatever. And I be acting like them, I like go out with them, whatever. Like I almost make their priorities my priorities, but at the end of the day, it's not my priority. Like I could care less. So I think that's why I like that song.
You talk a lot about your friends. Like, yeah, social interactions is like a really big thing for you, huh? Yeah. I mean, talk about you, talk about yourself. Like, what is it that like makes you you?
I don't know. I feel like I bring up a lot of people because they make me who I am at the end of the day. Like they're the ones that inspire me. They influence me, essentially. So, but of course, like I'm not always gonna agree with people. I'm gonna be like, damn, like out of all my friends, there's gonna be like something I kind of don't like about them because it's like, damn, I wouldn't do that or I wouldn't say that. So, yeah, I feel like.
You be hanging out with shady people or something, bro.
But I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, like, even your best friend, there's gonna be some type of flaw that you don't really like about them. Like, damn, like, why do they act like that when I tell them this or when I give them this advice when they know that that's the best thing that they should do? Like, they don't take my advice, you know?
That's
So it's
funny.
like, I don't like that in people.
That's funny as fuck because I don't be taking people's advice.
Yeah, exactly.
She said she's throwing shots at me. It's okay.
Nah, I'm not.
No, but yeah, it's definitely like, I don't know. That's good that like you hold your social interactions like close to you, right? I don't know. It's I think it does bring a really big different perspective to the show because a lot of the times like the people that I've had on, right, we've all like kind of closed our circles off, and that's only because when you really focus in on what you want to do or really focus in on you kind of learn more, right?
Yeah, right.
Like I talked about self-discovery. It's kind of like one of my boys, Aragon, he talks about meditating a lot. He talks about like that it really helps him focus in on who he is and helps him write his music. He even talks about it in his music, right? Being able to kind of just sit with yourself. We talked about it in the last episode. Being able to sit with yourself, and really understand who you are and who you are at the end of the day. It's really important, especially when remaining true to yourself. I just think that it's such a big concept. It's such a hard concept, like I said, to cover because what does that even mean? Like, right?
I feel like it goes with identity too. You know how people are always like, oh, like, how do you find your identity, or like, how do you find what you like and what you don't like, or like, why do you dress the way you dress, or like, why do you act the way you act? Like, you don't necessarily. I feel like at the end of the day, yeah, you kind of pick it, but it's because you saw it in someone else, and you're just like, oh, like that worked for them, or like something worked out for them in some type of way, so that you adapt it to yourself and your personality and who you are.
I don't know, man. There's so much that goes into like what makes you who you are, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, how do you really determine, who you are, because so many things happen to you.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just a question that people got to sit on and ponder, right? To really figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like then in that case, like for me, because now that you brought it up with your friend, like I do meditation too as much as I can, like when I feel like I need to. That makes me like really think about how everything is, like a situation or whatever. Really gives me clarity. Like I was saying earlier, like it allows me to think about the bigger picture of a situation, and like also journaling too. Like I like journaling a lot. Like it really helps me think about things in its entirety, and also it allows me to read back at things that I did read in the past, and I'm just like, damn, like that happened to me, and this is how I dealt with it, whatever. So reading it from the past really teaches me what I should do with it in the future, and be like, okay, like because this happened, this is how I'm gonna move forward, or like I'm gonna move differently so it doesn't happen again.
When I write down things and I go back and read it, it's like, damn, that really fucking happened.
No, that happens to me. I'd be reading my old journal stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, like it just like makes me sad. I'm like, damn, I don't want to talk to nobody now. Like I just need my me time,
Yeah.
But I feel like it's good at the end of the day, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. And an artist that really does focus on like meditation, holistic medicine, all that type of stuff is Big Sean. All these questions are like questions to really think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
What keeps you grounded? How do you ever really determine who you really are?
Yeah.
And especially as time goes on, like I said, when things happen, those are kind of just questions I want people to sit with and really reflect on, because at the end of the day, being able to reflect on who you are and sit with who you are and being true to you, it changes over time all the time.
Yeah, right.
And it is what it is. I guess that's just a common concept today, but that's going to be all for today. SBR episode 8. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you like being really open and honest. And yeah, if you like this video, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool for sure.
Definitely an experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming and watching. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe.
This is Sad Boy Radio.